What's the one thing that you thought was easy but turned out to be extremely difficult when you actually attempted it? Surfing. Not giving a shit. I kept sort of giving a shit. I'm very laid back. I only care about two things: everyone on Earth and their opinion of me. The crushing psychological weight of being alive. Dropping everything in your life to go back to college at the age of 29. School isn't what's difficult, it's the fact that I'm broke again that makes it much harder. Hooray for student debt. Playing drums. Or I should say playing drums well. Finding a better job once I had a few years' experience in the field. Horseback riding, because it's literally just sitting on a horse, and the horse is doing all the work. Turns out it's pretty difficult and physically demanding to get the horse to do what you want it to do. Taking care of my aging parents. They say that there is a time when you need to parent your parents, but I don't think that's a good analogy. I thought I would visit them more, make some doctor's appointment, hire house cleaners and aides when necessary, or maybe find a niece-assisted living facility for them. No way. They didn't want any of that at all. It wasn't like parenting a child at all, more like needing to beg, plead, demand, or yell for them to allow me to do even minimal things that will keep their lives from totally falling apart and taking mine with it. And that still didn't work. Writing you here from the broken life I saw coming a mile away. Not everyone's elderly parents are like this. And mine were the most relaxed, empathetic, organized people I ever knew growing up. Old age made them difficult and irrational, and they just weren't able to see things logically or from my perspective anymore. So deep were they in the anxiety, fear, and stress of just dealing with their life. Singing, not professional or even in front of people, but just singing along to a song. I was just cleaning the house one day and had YouTube playing music videos. Sweet Child O' Mine came up with lyrics. I've sung this song hundreds of times, but I stopped and was reading the lyrics as I sang, and holy hell, I freaking suck. I know the words, but I was listening to myself sing them. Off key, out of tune, bad phrasing, you name it. I did it bad. Took me 53 years to realize this. Learning a different language. Oh yes, I thought, okay, I made it with English. French will be no harder. 2 years tops. Oh la la. Native French speaker here, it's ooh la la. You see, strutting with one leg in the air and then getting back up. Pistol squats are death. Exercising, especially when you haven't done it in a long time. Drywall and general home repairs. I am riding a single room, remodeling from plaster and lathe. My advice: always buy at least one extra of anything you need from the hardware store, and estimate an extra 2 to 3 hours of labor. Truth is, if you've never done a project before, you need time to screw it up once, then go back and fix it. Quitting sugar. It's literally in everything. Waking up early, like just an hour earlier than my usual time, and I'm a zombie. Skateboarding. I thought jumping on a skateboard ollie will literally take a couple of hours to learn, yet it took many days to do it while moving and it still looked awful. Flipping a skate in the air while it does 360 took me 2 years to learn. Then there's a stance called switch, which is basically doing the same trick but in uncomfortable stance for you. Different leg front. Learning to switch 360 flip and grind, slide on rails in that stance will take years and years of practice. Painting. Professionals make it look incredibly easy, but it just becomes a sloppy mess when I try. Cashiering. I didn't realize how much it drained your soul, and almost didn't come back from it. I don't even know why it was so hard on me. The work itself was extremely easy, but I always got so depressed, and after shifts I was exhausted. If I hadn't quit, I think I would have destroyed my mental health. It's the demand to be on the entire shift. Think about a day you have off. You directly interact with strangers maybe 5 to 6 times. In an 8-hour shift as a cashier, depending on where you work, it could be anywhere from 50 to 2,000 transactions. And unlike personal life, you have to be friendly and upbeat and semi-unique with each and every one of them. Plus do other tasks when it's slow. Even 2 or 3 shitty customers can ruin the entire day and make it that much more stressful. Getting a good night's sleep. Ice skating. Dude, there's 7-year-old kids on the rink dancing. It can't be that hard. Falls. Gets up. Falls. falls. Hits barrier, falls, falls. God damn it. Pen spinning. In high school I knew a girl who used to spin it like this and it was awesome to watch. I didn't see what was so hard about it until I attempted it myself. It took a few months of daily practice, along with using finger muscles that I wasn't used to using, but I'm now able to do it without thinking. Finding a job after college. Late but waitressing. I became a waitress 3 weeks ago and I still haven't got the hang of it. 5 tables doesn't seem like much in theory, but geez is it difficult. Always hustle. Your tables see you. If you're always hustling, when bad things out of your control happen, you may not suffer as much with the tip. When you're on the floor, make eye contact with every table before you go back to kitchen. That way you give them a chance to flag you down if they need something. The longer they have to wait for some little something they need, the more your tip suffers. Don't be the waitress that only looks at the table you're bringing something to, as if the other tables are a nuisance. Never be the cocky waitress that thinks she can take whole food orders by memory. Those people still stuff something up 80% of the time. If your memory isn't top-notch, have a notepad and write everything down until you're more confident with memorizing a few requests at once. Don't give the big table so much attention you screw your other smaller tables. They notice and know they're being ignored, and if you mess up 2 to 3 tables and lose their tips, you may not make up for it with the big table. Big tables on average tend to f you over individually. They all assume the collective tip is good enough, and each of the separate tabs tend to screw you. All the more reason not to ignore the smaller, more appreciative tables. Don't hook up a table that arrived later and says they're in a hurry and put their order in before another table that arrived earlier. They may notice their food showed up later than that table that came in after them, and ream your ass. And then your manager reams your ass all for trying to be nice. It happened to me. Friendly and personable is all you need for good money. Going over the top with personality and wasting time doing stand-up sessions for each table is going to cost you. Unless you're at a place that everyone is required to run everyone else's food, then apparently you can be a stand-up comedian for your tables while everyone else like me runs their food and keeps their tips high. I'm obviously still bitter about that Outback Steakhouse experience. The good-looking people get hooked up with the best tables most of the time every restaurant you go to, so if your looks are average, the managers won't play favorites for you, even if you're the top-quality waiter that the managers send in to save the pretty people's asses. If you want to stay waitressing for any period of time, get good your first year and try to get into high-dollar restaurants ASAP. That's where the good money is. Cold shower. Quitting drinking. By contrast, quitting smoking was much easier. Whistling. I am 23 years old and still haven't figured it out. Losing weight. Calories in versus calories out. Simple, except I'm addicted to food in more ways than should be allowed. Staying positive when you're tired, under lots of stress. As someone who has dealt, and won some days still dealing, with depression, it can often be quite hard to stay positive once that voice starts talking. Juggling. Quit watching porn. Easy. I quit 5 times today already. Oh, sure, I can write a novel, 90,000 words. Piece of piss. Yeah, writing a book is easy. Writing a good book that people actually want to read and where everything sort of flows in vaguely the direction you want, way harder. Becoming an empty nester. I'm living with my mom. If you'll provide food and internet, I'll live with you. Coming up with an AskReddit question that hasn't been asked yet. Networking on Unity. Flirting with women. Piano. It's never going to be easy, but it gets a lot easier when you actually enjoy playing it. French braid. I can knit, crochet, weave. My mind will not absorb how to French braid. Gather from left, over the middle. Gather from right, over the middle. Repeat 30x. Moving my cat off my bed because he was in my way. Getting my confidence back after my last breakup. I've usually been able to move on fairly quickly before after a brief sulking period. It's been 5 or 6 years since and I still haven't been that good. I'm definitely more each year but just not close to what I want myself to be. Holding my leg and trying to jump and get my other leg through my leg and arm. Why did you think that's easy? I get scared just thinking about attempting it. Calling Domino's to order pizza. You have to sit through messages that encourage you to order online. They say it's quicker and easier than the phone, then proceed to make that true by taking forever for a human to come on. Why don't you just order it online? You don't really have to interact with people. Because then they win, damn it. Asking a girl out. I thought it was like the simulations, but I was wrong. Being an adult. All my life I was told how college would lead to automatic success for my future. Then I graduated in 2008. Potty training my daughter. I am 6 hours in and neither one of us has given in yet. Skiing. And whoever made those boots, I hope you're in hell. Soldering. I dunno why, but I just can't get it to happen. Having a long-term relationship. It's not the big things like birthdays and anniversaries. It's keeping up with the everyday things. That being said, when done right, it's one of the best things in the world. Archery traditional. I thought it would be super easy. Shooting and having fun on my rest days between training. Oh boy, was I wrong. Being an adult. Seriously, I was never taught how car insurance worked, or when or how to register a vehicle, or where and how to file taxes, when and who to call when an appliance breaks. I'm still only 30% sure I fill out my I-9s correctly when starting a new job. Buying a house. That's a whole other deal. Loans and escrow and property taxes. How to care for and maintain the stuff inside the walls of that house. Minor electrical fixes. Plumbing leaks. Switching out a thermostat. How to change my own oil. What to do with the dirty oil once you've changed it. I mean, I get it. I can Google all of these. Which I do. But I didn't know about them in the first place. In all the years of schooling I've ever had, I've never had anyone teach me these things or make sure that I know about them. I'm now 28 and I'm still caught off guard with things I didn't know I needed to do. Socializing. Never again. Standing up on a surfboard. Not doing anything special. Just standing and riding. When I tried, I was still an avid skateboarder and snowboarder. Figured this would be pretty much the same. Nope. Coding. My god. Coding is BS. Coding is hard for the first few years, but if you keep at it, it gets easier. I've been programming for 10 years, and eventually you get to a point where you're familiar enough with a language that you don't even need to use Google. Yes, sometimes you do need Google, but if you know what you're working with well enough, you likely won't need to, or you can refer to documentation if there even is any. If not, Google probably won't help anyway. Drawing cartoons. I always assumed it was an easy way to get into drawing. Turns out, cartoons are the final step after you've mastered all the more realistic ways to draw. Staying married. Actually building stuff with your hands. Navigating around a city in a wheelchair. Almost every able-bodied person seems to think it's easy until they actually do it. Ballet. I thought you could just blow into a clarinet and it would make sound. Nope. Same with oboe and flute. Calculus in college. Oh man, I went to college thinking I wanted to be a physicist. Very strong all the way through the highest level of calculus my high school had, then multivariable calculus, then quantum physics. I am a lawyer. I like how being a lawyer is an easier route. Realizing how good or bad I am at something. Every time I work on a project, my coworkers tell me I am amazing or a genius, but I feel all the time like I am doing nothing good or just blatant trash. And when I feel I am doing really good at something, nope, it's trash and it doesn't work at all. Being social and meeting new people. Accepting that at this juncture of her life, she needs me to let her figure her own things out. Support her from afar. Losing weight. Getting someone to actually love you. Quitting drinking after 30 years. I really thought I could just stop. Getting pregnant. Getting pregnant was way harder than I thought, and now that I am finally pregnant, being pregnant is also way harder than I thought. I'm sick and exhausted all the time. Farting in classroom. Digging. I have noodle arms and the ground was more clay than dirt. On the bright side, my mint and lavender is growing nicely. Trimming my cat's fur with clippers. My cat is really laid back. And I watched a video that made it look so easy. It was not. By the time I finished, I think we were both equally sad about it, and I was half sure someone would call animal control if they got a look at his haircut. Being an offensive lineman, before playing football I thought it was just hit the guy in front of you. Then I joined the team at my high school and holy shit it was hard. Learning different techniques, all the different levels on defense, learning your gaps, learning which type of block you need on X-play. It's a whole science where I basically studied my playbook like I would study for a class.